gonna do a few more things.
Okay.
Has your mouse ever just been a total piece of shit and just like randomly disconnects all the time?
Yeah,
No,
my
That's
last
when
mouse did that.
I get
I
a new
had-
mouse.
I had phantom double clicks.
Oh, that sounds terrible too. But yeah, I don't know. Ever since Cheska installed some drivers on my computer, my mouse has been a total piece of poop. Also, hi Cheska.
Damn it, Cheska.
Is it a wireless mouse or is it wired?
It is hella wired. I don't know if you can see it there.
Okay, yeah. It's weird that it does that with a Logitech mouse. I haven't seen that. I had like a sort of it was a CM Storm, which is kind of off-brandy a little bit. I switched it. I had to like unplug it and plug it back in every time I started the computer. But now I have the Logitech mouse. I have Pro and the Logitech one, and it's great. It never does it.
Yeah, no. What I'm thinking it is that I'm using this USB 3 hub that is awful, and I'm thinking it's probably that thing.
Could be. I would guess that over the mouse, to be honest, because not that I am a huge shill for them, but I have all Logitech stuff now, and it's great. I never have any problems with it at all.
Same. Except for this. Okay, I'm just finishing sharing this stuff out, and then we're good.
I'm having a milkshake, which is a mistake.
Are you just going to be farting like crazy later?
Yeah. Best case scenario.
I'm having a smoothie with vanilla ice cream in it, which I'm pretty sure just makes it a milkshake. But
I was going to say, that's a milkshake.
They call it a smoothie, so whatever.
I mean, I guess if there's no milk in it, is it still a milkshake?
I don't know. It does have bananas, too.
Yeah.
Right, we are all shared up and I don't know, naked? No, we're not.
I'm not naked.
I'm naked from like here down. This is just like a shred of shirt. It's not.
I'm naked from the knees down.
Naked from the shoulders up.
Actually, if you think about it, under all these clothes, I'm naked.
Yep.
Hello.
Oh, who's hosting?
I don't know.
Andre.
Oh,
You did a
okay.
good job last time.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
That was a very awkward way to accept that. I love it.
And that's the intro. Who's up first?
Sam's not here, and somehow the podcast is worse.
Oh,
Wow.
Yo, Eric, a question from the chat from one Chris Edgerton asking what flavor of milkshake?
It's strawberry. It's a McDonald's one.
Oh.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a mistake because I am very lactose intolerant, but it's real good though. And I don't have work tomorrow, so
YOLO.
I'm fun employed.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Gaming Fix. Off to a great start already. I am your host today, Andre Cole, aka your girl's favorite Goomba. Joined today by Alex Galinas. I never actually asked how to pronounce that.
I'm still not going to correct you. It's close enough.
Also, Erica Hernandez.
Yeah, that's me. You said it right.
And Pat Cotter.
I'm afraid you got his name wrong.
Yeah, mine's definitely the hardest to pronounce.
Patrick Cotter.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're on track.
He talks about Ubisoft games so much that maybe it should be a little more French when I talk about him.
I tell you, I wish I was a little more French. I'm very jealous of Alex.
Hey, on peut avoir un podcast en français si tu veux.
I get asked a lot if I'm French.
You also get asked a lot if you're a 50-year-old man dragging your balls on the floor. So.
That was one time. 40. And old women tell me I have a nice voice and I should work in radio.
Well, you kind of do. You have a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if it ever happens again, I can say, I've got a podcast. You should check it out.
You should make business cards.
Yeah, I've got business cards for my real job, but I never use those because I don't know. I teach. Anyway, we're here to talk about some video games, theoretically. And Alex brought the most video games. I think he is here to talk about every video game that has ever been released. Take it away.
We could do
Alex.
like Alex and then you and then Alex and then Erica and then Alex and then me.
If you really wanted to do it that way.
I don't care. You should just talk.
All right.
I'm an idiot.
All right. Well, let me pull out my laundry list here. First, I have 4 games for y'all this week, and I don't think for you, baby. But I don't think any of us have played any of these before. Hopefully, but if you have, chime in. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But before that, though I've been playing a lot of games, I've also been watching a lot with Summer Games Done Quick. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching that.
No, I usually don't. I usually what happens is I'll hear about a cool one and then I'll go watch that one, but I don't really follow it.
So sad. Yeah. It's been really strong this year. The Taz block with the tool assisted speed run with the Rob the robot that plays the games perfectly. They did a Celeste run, which was absolutely amazing, and showcased some of the glitches in that game that get you going a zillion miles per hour and just going faster than the screen scrolls like 3 screens away. And they went through all the seasides with this, and it was just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, the seaside stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe that there are so many other mechanics you can put in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And have it still be interesting and stuff that you didn't think of during the game. But
yeah. So I won't talk too much about it because none of you guys have watched it, but it's still going on all this weekend. Every donation they get, 100% of it goes to Doctors Without Borders. So I think that's a pretty great cause.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about video games. The first one I'm bringing is a mobile game for your telephone. You can download it right now on iOS or Android, and it is 100%, 1,000% free, no ads, nothing like that, and it's a puzzle game.
Wow.
It is called OK. So OK, OKAY ? And the mechanics are very simple. Basically, what you're doing is you're dragging your finger and you're hitting white things. Your ball, you're launching a ball. And there's no real physics, there's no momentum. Wherever you're going, the ball goes at a fixed speed. You're trying to clear all the white things in the screen, and there's black things that will bounce and they're permanent, but as soon as you hit a white thing, it breaks. So they just set up a whole bunch of really clever puzzles like that. And yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And one of the coolest things I found about it is, like I said, it's completely free. But after 20 levels, there's a message that comes up from the creator. He's like, hey, I made this game. I hope you like it. If you want, you could give me some money. You don't have to, but I would appreciate it. It would help me make more games.
Oh, that's endearing. That's
awesome.
It's really cute. And then it just gives you an option of selecting a button at the bottom. It's I want to give 25 cents or $5 or $100 or whatever. It's pay what you want. It's not your traditional free to play. So literally pay what you want. And I thought it's great. And it's super fun. I am at level 69. I had to pause there.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I had to pause there for the podcast, and I'm definitely going to keep playing it, even though it gets hella hard.
I just started downloading it. I feel like games that don't make me pay for it, but also make me feel good about it if I decide to pay stuff for it, or they're much more likely to get money out of me than a traditional free to play. I put money into Cat Condo, and that game was weird.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's for me, there's this mental block between paying 99 cents for a game and putting additional money into it versus a completely free to play game and putting money into it.
Yeah, I agree.
Most of the time, I like to just pay the 99 cents up front and then just never have to worry about it again. But
yeah, for sure.
If more games went this model, I'd be super into it.
The Go games that are I don't know, $5, $6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you just pay that one time and then you have everything for free forever, or not for no extra money forever. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Sadly, that studio got closed like right before E3, I think.
I think so too.
Alex, what was the name of that game again?
Okay.
Okay.
It's OKAY.
Question mark.
On
Question.
phones. Okay.
Yep. One dishonorable shout out to a game I did not play but downloaded was the one that I think it was Pat that sent a screenshot to our group chat of Nonstop Samurai, which was basically, it showed off a panty shot and it was a Facebook ad. And actually, when I went there to the Google Play Store, it's rated E for everyone. So I don't know what the hell that game is.
So to clarify too, like it was actually a video ad, and it was like a person like first he clicked on like her hand, and then he clicked on her breast, and she got very excited, and there was a heart. Then he clicked on her nether regions, and her skirt flew up, and there was a heart. And the reason I said it because I was like, how the fuck is this an ad on Facebook that I'm getting right now? This is ridiculous.
I mean, that's pretty much how it works out for most men when they touch a breast. Just get a heart reaction immediately.
Yep. Just like the heart emoji with two heart eyes. But I downloaded that because I was like, sure, why not? The first thing it does on Android is it asks you, can I have access to your contacts? And can I have access to your phone calls? And my immediate reaction was, nope. So I didn't play that one. And it will not start the game without you accepting those terms. So.
Huh.
The next game I played, which is kind of more in line with what we were just talking about, is a Steam game that I picked up on the Steam sale. The rest of these are actually Steam sale games. It's called Honey Pop.
Oh no!
Are any of you familiar with Honey Pop?
I played that entire game.
Pardon?
Front to back.
What was that, Pat?
Okay.
I played that game front to back.
Oh, really?
Like done everything in it. Yeah.
I think it's extremely lewd. That's the first thing I have to say.
Oh, you have no idea.
Wait. Okay. Wait. Is this Honey Pop like HUNIE?
Yeah. The puzzle,
okay.
the puzzle like game with the nude
The
bits.
tile
Is it
matching.
actually Honey Pop?
Is
Honey,
what?
I don't know.
Hooney
Should it be
Pop. That's
Hooney?
that's how I always read it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
but
figure it's Japanese and there's no, it's HU. So
Hooney?
Hooney Pop. Hooney Pop.
It's American made though, I think. But
Okay.
so that game is not bad actually. It's a dating sim, which I don't care about. It's it's lewd. There's underwear and you're like boning girls, which is kind of awkward. But the mechanic of it of being what's it called? When you're going on the dates with the girls, the mechanic of using a puzzle, like kind of a Bejeweled style tile puzzle, was actually kind of great.
Yep.
And it's also different from Bejeweled because it's not timing based. It's like completely strategic. It's more like 10 million and in some ways because you're trying to
still 10 million still has timing elements, whereas the Honey Pop doesn't at all.
Right. It doesn't have the timing elements, but what it has from 10 million or You Must Build a Boat is that you're trying to gather like specific resources for the person that you're with. So like some people are more into romance, some people are more into your talent or whatever and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of cool. I actually ended up finishing it. I used Cheat Engine to get through it because at some point I was playing it on hard mode and I was like, why am I doing this? And it asks you to get a score of 3069 and I told Cheat Engine, give me a score of 3000 and then I'll get 2 matches and then we're done. This was after 7 or 8 hours. So
I played that game for my YouTube channel years ago, and then we didn't end up posting any of the videos from that playthrough because I was like, I don't really know that I want to have my name on this thing. It is gross in a lot of areas, but it is extremely explicit. There are CGs in that game that are like, you can see it all.
There's a space lady who's covered in tentacles at one point.
Yep. And they also like, it's so weird. You go on the dates and it's like that strategic puzzle thing, and like you buy gifts, like it's a dating sim, and you can use the gifts in different ways to like shift the rules of the puzzle and give yourself extra resources. That part of it's actually pretty fun and interesting. And then once you've gotten your relationship up and you go to do the bone zone, that one is timing based, and you're just trying to match stuff as fast as possible to get like a meter, we'll say, up, while like the person that you're boning is making noises, and it's really awkward. And then you fill the meter up, and then there's like a final noise, and then it slowly drains. And then
That's
you get
a lot.
so a very explicit image of the person, like, and it's like, it's all there.
but the thing is, it's actually a really good game.
The puzzle part is very good.
Yeah, which is like that's why I feel weird about it. Like I kind of want to recommend it to Erica because it's a good puzzle game, but then again, maybe not.
I mean, like,
there's literal money shots in it. I will tell you that much.
Okay, I mean, I've seen worse things.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think it would like be, as long as you are an adult of consenting age. There's nothing wrong with like what is display. Like there's nothing wrong with like seeing it. I think some of the ways that it kind of stereotypes the characters is a little gross, but in other ways it's actually not that bad, and there's some that are really well written. So
some of the humor is it misses for me, but like I think overall the writing was pretty good.
Yeah, unfortunately that developer, I will point out, they were one of the like anti waifu banning, like they got super into that whole like.
Right, he was the one. The developer was the one who, like, oh my gosh,
it was really in poor taste.
I believe he was the one who coined the term "waifu holocaust."
Yes,
yes. So in that sense,
maybe don't play this game. Give them money.
Yeah, in that sense, I don't love the developer necessarily, but I think the game is fine, and it was like $2. So yeah. So moving on with the Steam sale, because I think that's enough time devoted to Honey Pop. I picked. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. I picked up another game, which is less lewd. It is called To the Moon.
Oh,
also a great game. A much better game, even.
Yeah. Well, no. I would say the story is excellent.
Yeah, sure.
I would say the characters are excellent, and I think the way it's conveying what its ultimate message is about is really fantastic. I would say the gameplay part of that game is terrible.
I just think it's boring, frankly.
It's very boring, but I put in 3 hours. Like I'm not quite done it. I'm probably like 75% of the way done. And like if you haven't played it before, it's this pixel arty adventure game kind of thing where you're controlling these characters who are basically going through the memories of a dying person and like kind of altering them to help them realize their dreams. Mm-hmm. Like that's the one that's like the elevator pitch. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, like Pat said, it's very slow, and that includes like your movement. So sometimes you're just moving incredibly slow, and you're just like kind of looking at, away from the screen, looking at other things, just holding up. So that part kind of sucks. There's only really one kind of gameplay, and that's where you're just like doing the adventure game thing of looking at certain things like objects and clicking on them and being like, yep, collected that. Yep, collected that. And then at the end, there's like a puzzle that's kind of like just tile flipping, and it's kind of bad. And ultimately what has kind of ruined the game for me, well, not ruined, it's just made it a slog, was that about 2.5 hours in, the game completely broke. Like I was going through this one section, and all of a sudden I was clipping through every object in the world, and I could not complete the section. And
that's irritating.
Yeah, and if I rolled back to my latest autosave, it still did it. So I had to go back to a save that was like 45 minutes before. So lost a whole ton of progress, and like there was no way around it. There's no way to fix it. So that was kind of a bummer. But, but I
believe that's a RPG Maker game.
I believe it is an RPG Maker game. I don't know. It's good if you care about kind of touching stories. I find some of the characters a little abrasive, but I think that's kind of their point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say touching is fair. I liked the story. I didn't find it compelling enough to like. I didn't feel that it was on a level with something like Gone Home or a Tacoma or an Edith Finch. Like I don't think it was that kind of touching. I thought it was interesting, and it was an interesting it had an interesting perspective on death that I think was cool to see through and kind of understand. I actually didn't like the conceit. Like, I found myself in a kind of adversarial relationship with the characters because I didn't like what they were doing. But that actually plays into the story in a way that I think is pretty cool. But it is definitely boring to walk around in.
Yeah, like the gameplay is boring. The story isn't necessarily boring, but the gameplay is. The writing is pretty clever and the music is actually really good. But I don't know if it's a spoiler to say. Like, I haven't actually gotten to this. They haven't explicitly said it, but it seems like they're touching on some it seems like they're touching on some mental health stuff that seems like maybe like autism or Asperger's.
Yes, that's my memory. If my memory serves, that's totally a element.
And yeah, I think that's actually really cool because they're handling it really realistically and like in a very like, man, this is really frustrating for me, but I'm trying to show the most patience I can. How do I properly support this person kind of way? And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yep. I like that aspect of it. The thing about it that kind of bothered me was sort of to what you're saying is that like some people would feel differently. In fact, some people that are normally on this podcast feel differently, but I think games like Gone Home and Tacoma and Edith Finch are not boring. They may be slow and they maybe don't have a lot of mechanics, but they're not boring. When you're going through the houses in Gone Home, there's a certain bit of excitement behind opening the door and seeing what's there, which is sort of something that To the Moon is missing. There isn't that level of like, I really want to see what's next. It's more like, I'm interested, I'm engaged, but I could have read it in a book and gotten the same experience.
Yeah, to be completely honest, when the game broke and I had lost all that progress, my first reaction was, maybe I should just watch this on YouTube. And just kind of skip past the puzzles.
Those those kinds of games, I don't know why they always make me very anxious. Like, I'm expecting like some like secret horror, like to turn into a horror game at any moment.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, currently I'm playing Resident Evil 7, but like that, I know it's a horror game. So I can get over that, and I've played it before, but it's just like anytime I play To the Moon, Gone Home,
I had that a lot.
Just like, when is it gonna happen? There's been some secret like horrible thing that happens, and it's been hidden from me.
Well, Gone Home totally baits you into that too. It wants you to think that's gonna happen, and that's one of the things I love about Gone Home.
But it wasn't me, like. But like, so I was expecting like what you're talking about, but also I was expecting like a ghost to pop up at any moment. Like the entire time I was playing that game.
Steve Gaynor stoked that fire, and in Gone Home, and we don't have to go off on a huge tangent, but it's brilliant because there's multiple clues around the house to make you think that that's going to happen. But there are also clues that when you realize that's not going to happen, you go, man, it's ridiculous that I thought that was going to happen from this. I should play Gone Home again.
And
I kept thinking I was going to see a body like walk into like a room with a dead body in it when I was playing that game.
Yeah,
it was going to turn into Amnesia.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I feel. Like I felt like that when I played To the Moon as well. I just like get really anxious when I play those games, and I think it's from playing so many games that are focused on like, here's a conflict, or like you got to like escape from something. And maybe Amnesia ruined those kinds of games for me. You can't fight back. All you can do is collect stuff and read and whatnot. Also, but one last thing, there is a To the Moon 2. I think it's called Finding Paradise. Finding Paradise is a sequel to the Moon, so maybe people can check that out.
I might check it out. When I get to the end of that game, I'll let you know with more certainty. But it should only be like another hour or so.
Finding Paradise is out. Came out in December last year.
Cool. All right, I have one last game, and I have not played enough of it to really give you a solid opinion. Enough to say that I'm probably going to finish it for next week and have lots of stuff to say about it. And this, again, Steam sale. This was a game called Forgotten Anne. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about this. It came out in May of this year. Indie game, and it's really friggin' cool. It has like you know how Ni no Kuni came out and it's like, oh, this is a Ghibli produced thing. I get way more of a Ghibli vibe from this game than I ever got from Ni no Kuni. It like has these hand animated cutscenes that are really charming and have like household objects moving around and talking and stuff like that. And then when you get into the actual gameplay, like it's very Do you remember how Battle Chef Brigade kind of looked?
Yeah.
Like that kind of like it just looks like hand animated stuff. Like this is a fully hand animated game, including all of the sprites, all of the animations and stuff. Kind of like Cuphead, but to a much lesser extent, and it's a much slower paced game. I don't want to say too much about it yet because I haven't finished it. I've barely gotten far enough in to really engage with all the mechanics, but I have to say, like, it's made a really crazy good first impression, and I'm super excited to get deeper into it.
Are there living refrigerators in this game?
Yes. So basically, you're you're transported to this other world of everything that ever got forgotten, and like so it starts with not your character, but a character losing his sock under his bed, and he's reaching for it. And he's like, whatever. I'm just gonna walk away from it and forget about it. And then this sock gets transported to this other reality, and like, yeah, it's really fascinating, and I think the story goes in some pretty crazy places from what I understand, and also kind of touching in that To the Moon way, but maybe a little better executed. But yeah, Forgotten Anne on Steam, you can get it for a song right now. I think it's maybe $10.
Interesting.
It's 15.
15? Okay. And I think that's it for my 4 games.
Also on Xbox One and PS4, if you're into that.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, I just watched the trailer on Steam because that's why I was like, is there a refrigerator in this game? Okay, well, then that brings us to Erica. What refrigerators? I got nothing. What have you been playing?
So I bought Beat Saber today. I'm pretty sure this is the first early access game I've ever bought because I have like a weird hang up about buying early access games. But like I kind of knew what I was getting into. I had seen like a lot of this game and I know how much like it's $20 right now. And I knew what I was getting for $20. That game's real cool.
That game it looks amazing.
It's really fun. It's it has about 10 songs, I think, which for $20, I mean, yeah, it's a little, it depends on what they add into it or, but I was okay with it. And I feel like the gameplay or feeling like you're playing it on easy, normal, hard, and expert all feel very different. Like there's, different mechanics and things. It gets much harder as you go on. But yeah, so you end up, it's a VR game, I should say. I was playing it on the Oculus Rift. And you have like these 2 sabers or your touch controllers. There's a red one in your left hand, a blue one in your right hand. And there are these like cubes that come flying at you to like the beat of the song, and you have to like cut them with your lightsaber in like the specific direction the arrows are pointing. And then there are also these like walls, I guess. I don't know. This that you either have to like, take 2 steps to the left or 2 steps to the right, or, if you're all the way on the left, sometimes you got to take 4 steps to the right or something. Or you also have to squat. So if you have to kind of be pretty comfortable getting into like a deep squat, like it was like an ass to grass squat in order to play this game. But it's really fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. I sent you guys a really sweaty selfie of me getting out of the VR set. Just like, as part of it is just, that it's hard and you have to move around a lot and a lot of squatting, but it's more just that it's like 90 degrees here.
But it seems like it could be a really good kind of exercisey kind of game. Like, especially if you were like, I'm going to put on some, well, not ankle weights, but like wrist weights and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely see somebody doing that. It also definitely gets much harder, and I could see also if you wanted to put on like a no fail mode, which they have available, doing something like that as like a workout on expert, because I mean, I'm not good enough to get through an expert song on my own. I think I was playing on normal like pretty comfortably, and I could get through like hard on like maybe the first 2 songs, but it's not an easy game. All of the songs are by the same like EDM artist. I think his name was Yaroslav Beck, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Okay. My favorite song was called Breezer. I think it's the only one that's in 4/4. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think it's worth the $20. And I felt like there's a few things that are missing for me. Like I played a lot of Audio Shield last year, which I think Beat Saber is a better game, but I like the idea that in Audio Shield I can like search YouTube and pick any song I want that's on YouTube, and you can't do that with this game. And I don't know if that's planning to come in eventually, but I did see that there is like a workaround, like if you want to work hard at it to get your own songs into there. But
I thought there was a thing where you can like either search a song in the game, and if someone's made a track for it, then it'll play like the YouTube video, and then you can play the song. Isn't that in there?
That's definitely an Audio Shield. I don't know if it's in.
I thought it was in Beat Saber.
I didn't see it in Beat Saber anyway.
It would be really cool if it had the audio surf thing of like import your song and it creates a level for you. But you do see videos on YouTube of people playing Beat Saber and it having like custom music, like custom tracks. But I think that's like what you're talking about, that it's kind of a difficult workaround.
Yeah, like
Fire in the Flames.
Those videos are nuts.
Yeah, like I think it is doable. I'll say that if you were going to play this in like a party setting, don't play it in a dress. I'm wearing a dress today. I'm in my own home, so I don't care. But if I was playing in around other people that weren't my husband, like, yeah, okay, I'd probably be like flashing everybody the entire time every time I squat. So like, don't do it in a dress or a skirt if that's something that you wear. But I highly recommend it. $20.
Cool.
An Oculus store.
Speaking of games that should be $20, Pat's here to talk about something.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of The Crew 2. I have 15 hours into it, I think. 17 hours according to Steam. I have played every discipline at least a couple of times. I finished one of the families. So without like, I'll get out of the way first. Like, this game is super divisive. I think there are some things about it that are definitely not amazing. I tend to differ in terms of what I think isn't great in some cases. Like, for example, a lot of people talk about how it looks amazing. I don't necessarily agree. I think it looks fine. There's certain areas that look really, really good. Like when you're in Manhattan, it looks good. When you're in Detroit, it looks good. They put a lot of time and care into certain cities that they really heavily modeled, and those cities really are like Miami, New York, LA, Detroit, and Dallas. Most of the environments, when you're flying in an airplane, it's beautiful, but when you're flying through the woods in the middle of nowhere, it's like a bunch of trees kind of speed treed down. Like, it doesn't look amazing. And there's some level of detail stuff too, where you get to these weird distances where you're close enough that it should pop in a higher level of detail, but it doesn't. And I think it can look kind of bad in those instances. So anyway, that's sort of a thing I kind of differ on. I think it's fine, but in a lot of cases, I don't think it looks much better than the first game. I also think that there is less to do in the open world than in the first game by a pretty big degree. There's like skill challenges and stuff and a lot of events, but the first game, it was like, I'm gonna do a road trip from Detroit to San Francisco, and like every probably 2 minutes on your 20 minute drive, you would get a new little skill challenge or something to do. And if I recall, like, I think it kind of popped that stuff in dynamically too. This game doesn't really have that. There's a lot of times when there's kind of a lot of expanses with not a whole lot going on, which is kind of why I think like definitely is off-putting. If you jump in the game and you go okay, in the game, I unlock the vehicles. I want to drive from New York to LA. That's not that fun in this game. Driving on like a half-hour road trip with no objectives or anything is not great, and that's totally a valid criticism. With that stuff kind of said, I think a lot of the other things about the game that is getting trashed for are really subjective. A lot of people say that the driving feels terrible. I just don't get it. I would say that I think Forza Horizon feels better, but like this sounds like blasphemy, but like I don't necessarily think that this like having just played Burnout Paradise Remastered, I think that like that and the Crew 2 are fairly comparable. Like I don't think that it feels like an arcade racing game from, you know, the last any just point your finger at one from the last 10 years. I don't really think it's that noticeably different. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but I think what happens with these kinds of games is people have their series. Like I'm sure a lot of people played a lot of Burnout Paradise or a lot of Forza Horizon or a lot of the last few Need for Speed games, and because this feels a little bit different, they immediately go, "Oh, I hate this," because they like the thing that they've kind of put the most time into and gotten used to. So I don't know. Like I think that stuff feels fine. I think that's clearly divisive too, because a lot of people say that the boats and the planes feel like garbage, but then a lot of other people are saying that they're really good. I think they're fine. I think they're different and interesting. And I think that's really where the game's strength is like there's like 14 different disciplines and each one feels distinct. And certainly there's a few that are you spend more time with than other ones, like the street racing, the rally raid, and the aerial acrobatics and the powerboat races. Those are the kind of four first ones for each family, and they have the most events. But I don't know. Overall, I like the diversity and the variety a lot. Driving like the Alpha 1 track cars that are like Formula 1 cars is way different than driving a street racing car or whatever. And I think that's pretty cool. So stop me if anybody has questions so far. I'm happy to like.
I do. So I never played the original game, but when I was listening to the Bombcast this week, one of the things that I think Jeff said was that in the original game, the first few cars you played kind of felt like shit, and then it was once you started upgrading them and started getting better vehicles, that's when it started feeling good. Is it the same case here? Like once you start upgrading your loot and whatever, like do the vehicles feel better, or is it just kind of the same but faster?
The loot to me feels a lot like Destiny in that it's like just sort of the numbers going up. Like I don't think it's that noticeably different. But the other thing too is that the loot is not that impactful in this game in terms of how much it changes your performance, the performance of the vehicles. So each vehicle has a performance number, which is a little bit like in Forza if you've played that before. Except in this case, it's colored loot that's making you up your performance levels. But like I've done every street racing event, for example, in an Aston Martin Vanquish. And the car started out, my numbers are probably off. But it started off at like a 140 out of 280. And then with all the loot I got from doing all of the events, I think I'm at like 170 out of 280. So like the cars don't level up very fast and they don't change that much. The loot definitely feels like kind of an afterthought, but like I don't know that it's worth complaining about it because it's just a thing you go in the menu and you just equip the highest level one and then you go on. Like
so it's like Destiny.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like any number of loot games, and I think there's definitely an argument to be made that games in general need to reevaluate how they look at loot, but I don't think it's offensive in this case at all. So I don't know. And the game does weird shit like there is narrative in each of the families, but it doesn't become clear until you've put a fair bit of time into them. Like I've only finished the street racing one, and I guess kind of spoilers, but I don't think it's, if you're concerned about spoilers for the narrative of the Crew 2, by all means tune out. It's a new game, but I don't think that this matters at all. The narrative is not good. Like the street racing stuff starts out with you meet Latrell, who is this he is wheelchair bound, really cool guy, actually a pretty cool character for being a character in the Crew 2 when most of the characters are kind of assholes. And he's sort of, his whole deal is like, he wants to take street racing legit. He wants to make it legal. He doesn't want to do illegal races anymore. And you kind of infer over the course of knowing him and hearing dialogue with him, and it's all just in little cutscenes here and there and just sort of like audio. There's no like story based, everyone's walking down the street together. It's like you'll get a cutscene with some art that talks about like the history of street racing and how it can be tied back to bootleggers in the 20s or whatever. You kind of get to realize that like that like maybe the reason he's wheelchair bound is because he was in an accident street racing, and that part of the reason he's passionate about taking street racing legit is because he doesn't want to see other people get hurt. And there's a point, and this is like the thing I was mentioning the other day in our chat, where you're doing a race and you go over a jump, and then the car that's in second place, it all looks like a normal ass race, does like a bunch of flips and like slams into a building, and then it cuts to a cutscene and like a body is thrown from the car, and then the race becomes you have to take the person to the hospital. Like it's wild.
What?
That's pretty great, actually.
Yeah. And it's not super heavy. I don't want to make it sound like it's like really graphic or violent or anything. It's not. But like then like you get more dialogue from Luttrell about how like this is why he wants to go legit, so he doesn't have to see this kind of thing happen to people. And then at one point you do a race that's in the hypercar tier, which is like the last tier, which are like the long distance city to city races. And the winner of the race, there's a cutscene at the beginning where this woman who's sort of running the race is talking to you, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the winner's going to win this Koenigsegg hypercar," and you're participating in the race because you want to win the car so that you can modify it so that Luttrell can drive it, so that it's like a handicap vehicle. And like you do it, and then part 2 of that is you race with Luttrell, and he's in this Koenigsegg that he can drive now, which is a little bit. Vehicles like that do exist, but it's a little bit out there that like he would be able to drive it in a street race. But still, it's a cool bit of story that is just like interesting, but you don't see it unless you play really deep into the family. So I don't know that I can recommend it based on that weird stuff.
They should have maybe made that more like, because that sounds interesting. They should have kind of focused on that a little more and like the getting you into stuff, because it seems like if the driving from X to Y isn't fun, then maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because I don't want to talk it up too much. Like this is maybe like 8 minutes of combined story related content over 40 events, but
they should put more in is what I'm
agreed.
saying.
Yes, I think that I really like the game overall. I'm having a great time with it. I'm going to try to do everything in it because I think all of it is a lot of fun. I think your mileage may vary if you actually find the driving part fun. I think if you look at that game and go, yeah, I'm on board for, if you're someone who looks at it and you go, why would they put planes and boats in it? It's already not for you. I can tell you right now. If you look at it and go, oh yeah, planes and boats, that sounds kind of cool, you might be able to like the driving, you might be able to get used to the driving and enjoy it. I wasn't crazy about the driving mechanics and physics when I first played the closed beta, but by the time I had put 3 or 4 hours into the closed beta, I was like, oh, okay, I like this. So that's kind of, I got used to it, and it made me like it a lot. I think it's hard to judge it like objectively because I think with a lot of those systems, if you get used to them, you can learn to like them. The only other weird thing I would say is that there's this like progression based on the number of followers you have, which I think it's hilarious that this game is getting dragged for that because it's literally the exact same thing as Forza Horizon. Like Forza presents it a little bit better with the music festival vibe, but it is identical to that conceit. Yeah. The only difference is you're not signing music radio stations like you do in Horizon. Like you add the radio stations over time in Horizon, at least in Horizon 3. Mm-hmm. You don't do that in the Crew, and the music in the Crew is not good, and the music in Horizon is good. But that aside, it's the same conceit. You're trying to get followers. There's a bunch of people going, well, we got to do crazier shit to get more followers, which is the same thing in Forza Horizon. But yeah, once you level up your follower thing to max, you're like, it goes from like rookie to famous to star to icon, I think. You start gaining icon levels, kind of like Paragon levels in Diablo, where the number just keeps going up. And every time you get an icon level, you get a skill point that you can put into a skill tree that has like minor effects just like the Paragon system in Diablo, and like you wouldn't know that unless you put 15 hours into the game, because that thing doesn't even open up until then. There's just like it's just weird shit like that. Yeah, there's a lot of
like
weird.
Such a weird choice.
It's a weird game.
Kind of cool though.
Yeah, like I had no interest in playing the Crew 2, and now that you're like talking about what's in there, I'm like, maybe.
Weird.
I mean, probably not still, but maybe.
Maybe in a year.
Yeah, like maybe when it's on sale.
It's a Ubisoft game, so they're gonna support it.
So when you finish this game to completion, I'd be interested in hearing how it compares to Far Cry 5 for you.
Sure. So far, I like it more. But yeah, it's the way that they're planning to support it too, which I kind of didn't know this and went and bought the like edition that gave you early access and had the season pass, which I don't regret, but because I am enjoying it a lot. But it's clear they're actually supporting it more like Rainbow Six Siege than like anything else, which is very strange. But every 2 or 3 months, they're adding a like content pack, which is going to be like a new discipline. The first one is called Gator Rush, and it's like fan boat racing in the Everglades, which is kind of cool.
Is this stuff going to be free or paid?
Yes, so it's going to be free. And then they're also releasing new cars every month. And if you own the season pass, you get the cars for free. If you don't own the season pass, you have to purchase them with in-game or real currency. And it's sort of like Siege in that these cars are, they take some time to grind out the currency for them with in-game currency. And Siege is the same way. You can buy a season pass for $20 and get all the operators in it, or you can grind them out. It's comparable to like grinding out free-to-play currency to get characters in something like League of Legends. So it's you can get everything for free, and the new disciplines from the content packs will be available for free. And then each content pack is also going to have some new feature that is in addition to the discipline. I don't know what the one is for the first content pack, but they talked about how PvP is coming in December. As of right now, you can race cooperatively with friends, and you can totally say like, oh, I came in first and you came in third, but it doesn't have like a ladder system or rankings or matchmaking.
What?
Yeah, doesn't have like
weird
head-to-head matchmaking.
What?
The thing I will say, this is the thing though, I hear that reaction a lot. Who in this chat has ever played a racing game PvP against anyone ever? Like, the fact it's not there is pissing people off, but nobody does that anyway.
I've never played a video game online against other people, so that's
okay.
I have. I played what was that? Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Sure, kind of a different thing, kind of just kind of more burnout-y.
Yeah.
Oh, so they have the co-op stuff. It just like it
so
just seems like a no-brainer to be like, hey, you want to race your friends?
My hope is
get some currency or something on it.
I mean, you kind of can already because you can still compare who won. Yeah, my hope is that what this means is like they could have half-assed it and just tacked it in and made it easy. My hope is that because they're advertising it as like an expansion pack feature, is that it'll actually be like good. It'll have ranked racing and different modes, and like it'll be more fleshed out and kind of like what you would really want them to do with it.
Because 3/4 of the way through development of the mode, they realized they were just making Sonic All-Stars Racing transform.
So interestingly, that stuff doesn't happen that much. There's like 5 events in the entire game where you shift vehicles in the middle of a race.
But that's what the PvP is going to be.
Who knows? Maybe.
The fact that we're calling it PvP is ridiculous.
I'm only using that terminology because that's what they're saying.
I know.
I think it's dumb to call it that too. Head-to-head is what I would have probably called it. But anyway, I don't know. I'm definitely interested. I'm glad that I bought it at launch because it's kind of been an interesting thing to see and experience. I think if you haven't already been sold on it, you're probably better off to just wait for sales. I wouldn't try to convince anyone to buy it, but it's an interesting game and it's a weird game. And I think a lot of people have kind of have played it for 3 hours and then gone, I hate this, and tossed it when some of the most interesting stuff is kind of buried. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's an excuse because I don't like the well, you just play it for 5 hours and it gets good. I think that's kind of a bullshit argument. So I'm not trying to make the argument, but it is a weird, interesting thing. That's for sure.
Okay. Well, now it's on to me. I don't have a segue. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sam never does either.
I'm failing my host duties today. I had the one good segue today. But yeah, I was playing The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which is the second game from Don't Nod this month, or last month. It's July for me now. So yeah, they put out Vampire, then they announced another game, and then they put out the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which is the prequel to Life is Strange 2. You play as I think he's between like 10 and 12, 10 and 12-year-old boy with a single father. I don't want to give too much away about the story, but he's kind of the main conceit is he's very imaginative and has invented this superhero persona for himself, Captain Spirit. And you're kind of going around the home and collecting things to make your costume, and finding the bad guys, finding Snowmancer, and pretty much just fucking his shit up. Like, man, this kid is brutal, but he's a sweet kid. But some of the things he does, it's set in Oregon, much like Life is Strange 1, and so there are references to like my high school and my college, which was just like totally wild. So like that kind of stuff like pulled me in, and I'm a sucker for like anything set in like the Pacific Northwest. So I was already like, okay, I'm into this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is really gonna fuck me up. So yeah, like it was getting there. Like nothing. There is some stuff in there that spoke to me with like relationship wise, and I can see like when the full game, because this thing's like maybe 2 hours long, if you're like really walking around and not finding everything right away. Because there is one puzzle that is stupid. Stupid. It's like you have to find the code for a phone, like to unlock a phone and play what is it called, Mustard Party 2 or something. Did y'all play Life is Strange 1?
I've not finished it.
Yeah, I haven't finished it either. I played like the first
never
3
finished it
episodes.
either.
What? Wow.
Yeah, you're
surprised.
not. You should chastise at least. I don't know. I need to finish it.
I am surprised. Like I really like that game.
I did too. I just
there were some
bad person.
issues with there's some issues with the way it kind of wraps up, but overall, so there's the hot dog man, which is like a thing in the game. It's kind of like the mascot of the series, I guess. It's just like this hot dog guy, and so Mustard Party is like an endless runner, but then so you're hot dog running, and then you push the screen, and then your character like jumps or like shoots a mustard pack, and so mustard's a jetpack. So that's just like a little fun thing you can do as a kid, because you're like, oh, I'm gonna play this mobile game. But the fucking
like
code,
all the kids do now.
There are so many there are so many things that you be like, oh, that's probably the code for the phone. None of them are the code for the phone. I don't think the code for the phone is actually in the game. Like I had to go look it up, and it's fucking stupid. So yeah, but there are a lot of cool like the story stuff is very good. Playing it, I don't know. Yeah, like I can't. I'd feel like Life is Strange 1 didn't play so awkwardly. There's just it's very slow, and like the camera maneuvering was weird at times where I'm like, no, I want to look at this thing. So that was like kind of a bummer, but overall, like I had a really good time with it, and like the music was really good. It's Sufjan Stevens, so if you're into that, and it's just a very solid like 2-hour experience. And if like you didn't want to finish Life is Strange for whatever reason, maybe you can give this a shot. It's 2 hours and go, oh, okay, I'm into the story or not. But it has me very excited for Life is Strange 2. Very excited.
Does it reference the original at all, other than the hot dog dude?
There are not references to like the school and the place, but not to the events of Life is Strange 1.
Okay.
But yeah, so Life is Strange 1 took place in a fictional town in Oregon based on like a real place, but as far as I can tell, Life is Strange 2 is set in like an actual town in Oregon, like just south of Portland, but it's like a rural town. So, but it like looking around, like just like kind of out in like the skybox like area is like, yeah, no, this feels like Oregon. So like they captured everything very well. There's only 3 characters. The voice acting was awkward, not great.
Heavy Rain awkward.
No, but like, so there's one character, your dad is drinking a lot. That's like in the trailers and stuff. Your dad drinks a lot and gets very drunk by the end of the episode. But then, and like a neighbor comes over at some point, and they sound like they were slurring their words. And they were supposed to be like not drunk as part of their thing. They were just supposed to be like, "Oh hey, how are you?" But they were like, this person sounds more drunk than dad. And the like, I don't know, the stuff for the kid. I heard some people say it was like pretty good kid voice acting, and it doesn't sound like forced or awkward kid stuff. It's just like very stilted and like, I don't know, like they needed to like do a couple more passes on the line reads because there's like weird pauses and I don't know, awkward. But yeah, I'm very excited to play that game, and you don't get any of like the Life is Strange like pretty early in episode 1. Like you get like the powers, like the time rewind stuff, and like that stuff starts to manifest. That stuff doesn't manifest in gameplay in The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, but like you do get a hint of what is to come, and you kind of get a hint of what the story will be going forward into like the actual game or like the full experience. But there are some like, oh, when is it going to actually take place and stuff like that. Like, is it going to take place right after or like in the future?
Yeah. So I guess my biggest question about this game is like, I think the first episode of Life is Strange they made free, and then you had to buy the rest of them.
Eventually, it was free. It might have been free right away.
I thought it launched. I could be misremembering, but is that what's happening here? Like, is this episode 1 of Life is Strange 2? No. Okay.
No. This is just like a prequel.
Okay.
Like set the state, and it says like Chris is the main character. Chris will return in Life is Strange 2.
Okay.
But so
but he may not even necessarily be the main character in Life is Strange 2.
I would hope he is, because I think there's a very good story that they can tell.
Sure.
And I could see where they could take it. And I don't know if they should take it that way because it might be weird.
Yeah.
But they might do like an actual more like subtle take on what I'm thinking.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so like it might jump forward in time, or it might take place right after, and this might have just been like a, hey, here's what we're doing. Because like, so The Walking Dead after the first season did that like 365 or something. They did some sort of like interstitial episode.
Or the 500 days or whatever.
Yeah, like 500 Days of Walking Dead.
Yeah, got it.
That hinted at like characters that would appear in like the future games, I guess. And then they kind of use that to like feedback from that to craft like the next seasons and stuff. But I think Life is Strange 2 is out in like September or something. So that's not what is happening here.
So, I mean, you said that the time control mechanics aren't really a thing in this one. Does it feel like a Life is Strange game then?
Yes. But I don't think Life is Strange is about the time control. I don't think
so either, but I think that's a big part of it.
I think, but like I said, the powers don't manifest in the gameplay in this game, but you do get like glimpse of what that stuff might actually be in the full game. It's
Got
just
it.
like a very small hint. So yeah, Life is Strange 2 is September 27th. So I don't think, I mean, this could impact, but I don't think there's enough in there to really impact what they're making. I don't think, at least. So yeah, there are like powers, but if this is just like a teaser of like, oh, here are these relationships that we're setting up, here's what this kid is like, here's how his life is kind of going, and that like this kid is so relatable to me. There are like so many things like I've done that.
That's
Like,
the one thing that I think is not this is not a criticism, but it's very interesting to me, is that like the first game, it, this the young people that will identify with this character and what it sounds like is Life is Strange 2, it's like just a different audience than with the first game, and I think that's interesting. I don't necessarily think that's bad or have anything want to make any like statement about that, but I do think it's interesting that they kind of pivoted a little bit, but that it still seems to have the same kind of tone in a lot of ways. It's fascinating.
Well, and also Life is Strange 1 is like high schoolers,
Yep.
and is like an elementary school kid or like early junior high. So like, you know, very different times in people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's easy to see how Chris could end up in like go towards like either I don't remember the characters from Life is Strange 1, like
Max,
Sam and
Chloe.
Sam and
Max and
Sam
Chloe.
Max.
No,
Max
Sam and
and
Max
Chloe?
is a LucasArts game from Max and Chloe.
Dog.
Chloe. It is easy to see how Max could go down like the
Dude,
path of their.
if this turned into a Sam and Max game, I would be super on
Oh my
board.
god, yeah, me too.
Chris could end up as either Max or Chloe based on, you know, how his life is going. So like, yeah, I think he is a very like, the kid is well written. It's just, I wish the voice acting was better, but I felt he was very relatable. I'm like, oh, I've done stuff. I did that exact thing. So yeah, I hope they stick the landing with that game, because it's that short thing is really something.
Cool.
Cool.
But out of curiosity, other than Life is Strange, have any of you guys ever gotten into like an episodic game and followed it month per month?
Hitman.
I guess that counts.
Yeah.
Hitman's the only one I really did. I've always waited until the Telltale stuff finishes and just played it all at once.
Yeah. I played Walking Dead season 1 month per month, and the cliffhangers they had were the worst.
You know, actually, I did play Sam and Max season 1, the Telltale Sam and Max season 1 month to month, and not only that, but I played it on that service that it debuted on. It was like it wasn't a streaming service. You downloaded the games. GameTap. It's called GameTap. I played it month to month on GameTap, and it was a GameTap exclusive when GameTap launched. And it was Telltale's, like, not their first game, but it was like their first foray into that format. It was a really interesting time.
I think I may have done it with The Walking Dead season 2, but I never finished that game, so they only got like the first 3 episodes in. So I think I did for like the first 3 episodes because I was really hot on the first one. But
I did Walking Dead season 1 and 2. Season 1, I think I came in like partway through, maybe like the second episode I came in, and then season 2 I did month to month, and then Life is Strange, I think I played it all in one go.
So that's why I never finished Life is Strange, because I started doing that with Life is Strange. I bought the season pack. That's why I'm pretty sure the first episode was free, because I recall playing it, buying the season pack.
I think it was like an hour or something.
It was short. It was not like a full. There was like it wasn't a prologue. It was episode 1, but it was definitely shorter than the rest.
I think it was just an hour or something. I don't think it was the full.
Maybe
full episode.
Either way, I remember playing episode 1, some part of it, and liking it and buying the full thing. And then I played the second one when it came out. But then other stuff. It may have even been Hitman that I got really deep into. Because I think those were the same year.
No.
But whatever it was, something else came out that sucked me in, and I just completely fell off of Life is Strange.
Hitman was 2016, and Life is Strange was 2014, I think. Maybe 2013.
No, 2015. Okay, let's say if Life is Strange is 2014. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, it was 2015. Sorry, yeah, you're right. It was 2015.
Yep.
You could go back and like watch the Giant Bomb East people play through it or whatever. If you don't want to actually play it yourself.
No, I will play it myself at some point. I liked what I played. I just need to actually sit down and get through it. It's not as if it's especially long. The episodes are no more than an hour or two each.
Yeah, and like the twists and stuff are interesting, but I think the end they kind of fumble. But I think the journey is good.
The ending of episode 2 is like just devastatingly good. I mean, everything about it, like the music and what's happening. It's just like it's a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, and since it's set in Oregon, I'm automatically predisposed to being interested in it. Like I've said that with like much like Sam always talks about his justification for playing Destiny and his like 3 pounds per hour or whatever. If you set a game in like the Pacific Northwest, I'm like, okay, I'm in. So
Same.
That's why I'm like, I guess I'm gonna play Days Gone.
There's only
that way before I even lived here.
Yeah, there's only ever been one game that's been set near where I live, and that is MDK2. Because the developers were in Edmonton, and Edmonton is the city they destroy in that game.
I will say too, Life is Strange is on sale for $5 the first season right now.
Ooh, that's really good.
It's a real good deal, and it's definitely a game worth. Like even if you buy it and then watch a playthrough of it, like it's worth seeing. Even though I can say that even without having played through it, and even though I know the ending gets a little.
The writing is so good, bad in that.
Wait, sorry, it $5 on Steam or?
Yes, on Steam. Sorry, on sale because of the summer sale.
Mm.
This is kind of an aside. It's a little bit not totally related. I can explain why it made me think of it.
We got all the time in the world.
Did you guys play The Vanishing of Ethan Carter?
No.
Yeah.
It's an interesting game. I'm thinking about it because like Captain's like the kid Chris is his name, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could be Ethan Carter. Like the thing with with The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is that like Ethan Carter has like this crazy imagination and he comes up with all this stuff, and like I won't spoil the whole game because it is interesting and people might want to check it out at some point. It's actually pretty good. Well, okay. It's pretty good until the very end, and then the very end ruined the entire game for me, but it won't for everyone.
It's also like To the Moon. It's also very, very slow. Just in terms,
except for the part where it turns into a horror game for about an hour.
But I mean, just movement wise. Yes. But yeah,
movement speed is low. But there's a part near the beginning. Ethan Carter is structured where like it's almost structured like an episodic game where each episode is like 20 to 30 minutes long. And like each location has sort of a different thing you're trying to do. Like the first part, you're in the woods and you're trying to trigger all these traps. Because like there's all these traps in the woods for some reason. There's a part in the game where you're like walking through the woods and you see an astronaut, and it's like utterly terrifying because you're like, what is happening here? And there's just this astronaut standing there. So you kind of like walk up to him because there's nothing else to do, and then he starts running away from you. And it's this like game of cat and mouse in the woods. And eventually he leads you to this spaceship, and you get in the spaceship and you like fly into space and you see like planets going by and stuff. And it's like, oh my God, my mind is blown. But then eventually you end up back in the forest and you realize you're in like a treehouse that's like made up to look like a spaceship. And it was Ethan Carter, who is the kid you're looking for, hence the title. And he like had imagined this whole like world because he's dealing with abuse and stuff, so he like imagines that he's a space pilot and he goes to all these different planets, and you kind of play through his fantasy. It's really interesting, and for some reason the stuff I'm seeing about Captain Spirit made me think of that part of that game heavily.
Yeah, that's not far off. If like any of that like story stuff spoke to you, I think you might really like
I'm sure I would. The thing about Ethan Carter that's hilarious is that, and it's not really a spoiler, at one point you're in a mine, you end up in these mines, and it's an optional sequence. You don't actually have to do it, but I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know there was a way around it. There's a part, the whole game, not a horror game. There's spooky stuff that happens, but it's definitely like a walking sim with air quotes. It's like very light puzzle solving, mostly just walking around these environments that are creepy but interesting. The story is interesting. So you go down this mine shaft and it's interesting. And then you go down this one corner, it's interesting, and then you're in this part and it's like, wow, this is kind of like a maze. And then you're walking around and then a fucking skeleton miner man pops up in your face and kills you. And then you go back to the beginning of the maze. And then it turns out that you're trying to navigate this maze while being stalked by this skeleton that makes noise. And you have to like survival horror Outlast style hide from this skeleton miner that is utterly terrifying, because if he notices you, he just like immediately teleports to you and pops up on your screen and scares the shit out of you. It's weird.
See, Andre, that's what you were expecting out of Gone Home.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at least, okay, now my fears don't feel unfounded.
No, it's totally. I totally wasn't expecting it. I was playing it for YouTube with my stream partner at the time, and like we both just like flipped out at it because we were not expecting it to be a horror game at all.
Like,
anyway, it's a cool game. Check it out if it sounds interesting. You can skip the horror part. It's not really consequential to the story.
I touched the Resident Evil 7 DLC. I started to touch it. The one I am most interested in playing is the Not a Hero DLC. This is a minor spoiler for Resident Evil 7, but that game's a year and a half old at this point. So if you don't know,
as long as it's minor, I'll play it eventually. But
it's a spoiler for the end, but it's like a very minor spoiler. Chris Redfield is in that game.
Oh, I knew that already. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the DLCs you play as Chris, and it takes place after the game, but you can punt you shoot like the enemies, and then it's like when they're staggered, you can punch them, which is not a mechanic in the regular game. So you like shoot them once, and then you punch them, and that's just like an instant kill, and they just like explode. Like I knew Chris was ripped. Like there's an image going around from Resident Evil 5, like one of the promo images where his like bicep is as big as his head, where it like measures them, and it's like holy and shit. Like his bicep is as like tall as his head or something. So yeah, Chris is ripped, but yeah, so I'm really excited to play that and play all the other stuff. I also touched like the one that touches or like shows how everything started, like at the house, but it's very slow. That game is very slow at times, and it's kind of like a amnesia type walking simulator, because in that mode you don't have a weapon, at least to the point I've gotten to. But it's fun.
That sounds okay. Is it kind of like PT?
No, not really. Like it's like the beginning of Resident Evil 7, except there's a lot more like hiding that you have to do.
That game, like, I really, really want to play it because it seems like
it's on sale now.
Yeah, I know. It's on sale for like $30, which is not really.
20 for the, I think, right?
Oh, 30 for the season, like the version that has everything. Yeah. 20 for the normal. But the bigger issue is like I played Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 4. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I kind of want to play them because I know that this one ties into the narrative, and I understand that it's pointless and it's a fool's errand to say I'd like to play all of them in order, but
if you almost play Resident Evil 6, I'll play Resident Evil 6 with you.
I mean, yeah, I would have to replay Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 first.
So the problem is 3.
Yes, that's
because I mean 2 is gonna come out in 6 months.
Yep.
3 is the one where it's
the missing link. You can
do
get
what I did.
Just watch of 5, 4, 5, and 6 on Steam right now for $15.
Just watch Resident Knievel on YouTube, GameSpot. You'll get all of it.
Yeah, I have a thing for bullshit, convoluted, like mythoses that are bad.
Me too.
So that's kind of why I want to see all of them, so I can understand it all.
That's how I feel that way about Silent Hill 2.
Yes.
The Silent Hill.
Yes.
As well. Silent Hill 2. Like I will go and watch like playthroughs of Silent 2 somewhat regularly, maybe every other year or so.
Yep.
What was the Silent Hill game that came out on Wii and it was like a personality test?
Silent Hill Downpour?
Shattered Memory?
Shattered Memories.
Yeah, Shattered Memories. That game was really cool.
Downpour was 8, I think. Yeah, Silent Hill 8 was Downpour. I would love to see, like, it'll never happen for Silent Hill because Konami probably, but I would love to see no clip documentary on Resident Evil and just like the creation of that whole series.
Totally.
Might be hard because the guy who like the main guy, Shinji Mikami, is now like somewhere else, but I mean, I guess he could go and you could talk to him separately because he's like Tango Gameworks or whatever. But I would love to see like a long documentary on the history of that series.
It's an interesting series for sure.
Have anyone else have anything they want to talk about?
What if I talked about wrestling for a sec?
What if I talked about anime for a second?
You guys just said the same thing.
All right. Well, I'm going to take that as a yes, and I'm going to run with it. Okay. So CEO's going on right now. If you care about fighting games.
Oh, hey, wait, that's video game related.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna tie it in.
Sorry, what's CEO? I have no idea what that is.
That's a fighting game tournament that goes on in Florida.
Run by Jabali?
Jabali, yeah.
Oh, it's that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So New Japan had a show that was like, it was like CEO cross NJPW, like it was like a whole thing to do, and I watched most of it yesterday, but or I should say yesterday and then part of today because I fell asleep. But I had like kind of a knee-jerk reaction because I tend to hate most wrestling commentators. I only like a very select few.
Because most of them are bad.
Yeah, that's probably why. But so what they had for this this show, they had a couple of like esports and fighting game commentators. There's like a Street Fighter guy. I mean, I've never heard of any of them, but I'm assuming people have. And there was a Fortnite guy, and I don't know what the other one was for, but I actually thought they ended up doing a really good job.
American fighting game esports commentators are like Japanese wrestling commentators.
Well, yes. But
they probably watched a lot of Japanese wrestling too.
Yeah. I mean, well, they knew who everybody was. They knew their moves and all of that, so that was kind of nice. But the production itself was kind of really janky, especially considering they had some of the biggest names in New Japan there.
Where was this just on Twitch?
Yes, it was free on Twitch, and it was my understanding that the tickets were actually really reasonable if you happen to be in Florida at the time. It was like, I think $100 was like the most expensive ticket you could get, and I think like you get in at like 20. And they were streaming it for free on Twitch, so I watched it there. But there was like a lot of wait time at the beginning, and then there was like 2 matches, and then it was a ton of wait time again. Jabali has like a ruptured Achilles, and he was supposed to fight somebody, and he came in a wheelchair, and then they tried to like open the barricades for him so he could roll himself to the ring, but like they couldn't get the barricades open, so they ended up like picking him up under the armpits like a baby and like lifting him over the barricade.
Oh my God.
It was very goofy. Like the wrestling was really funny and it like very goofy, but like none of the entrance music was audible, and like the ring itself was mic'd really weird. Like it was really squeaky, and that's all you heard was like squeaking and not any of the bumps or anything, which I thought was weird. But
they always have a wrestling ring set up at CEO for some reason. That's just like their aesthetic is there's a wrestling ring. But I read this morning that actually one of the people in one of the first matches is like a convicted sex offender.
Yeah, I just read about that like a few minutes ago. He like had sex with a minor, I think.
And Kenny Omega's response was not great.
Great.
Like, I mean, his like I can see where he's coming from, but his just response could have been better. But yeah, was the rest of it good?
Like I don't think you're gonna get any match of the year type things out of there, but it was fun.
Did
It was
Kenny
like a
Omega
fun
wrestle?
Yes, he did. He wrestled with Ibushi.
Okay.
The Golden Lovers versus Naito and Hiromu.
Oh,
it was a good match, and Ibushi keeps taking stupid ass
since WWE is in Japan right now, Xavier Woods couldn't be there to like do a run-in.
Exactly.
Wow.
But
the counter programming. Okay, so Alex, please tell us about your wrestling.
So I was watching this wrestling show called Hinamatsuri. I mentioned it last week. We finished. Cheska and I watched it.
Steel chair.
Yeah, the steel chair. And they come in and they like bump off the ropes or whatever. I don't know. Kayfabe. That's a word, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that show's great. I think everyone should watch it. That's the short version. It's a really ridiculous comedy. Like it's just like super over the top, just like just like super over the top animation and just scenarios that make absolutely no sense if you think about them logically. But it's also really
that's every anime.
But like there's like, just for one example, there's this one girl, it follows like these high school girls and it's got like psychic powers and the Yakuza and stuff like that. But there's this one girl it's in middle school actually, sorry. And she just like, she can never say no to anyone and she's like incredibly kind. And then her always saying yes to people leads to her being a bartender at like like working nights as a bartender and being like the best bartender in the world kind of thing.
I think there are some girls at my school who are delinquents and don't go to class who actually are working in a bar.
Oh no.
Maybe they've been watching this show too much. But anyways, it's exceptionally good. I was surprised by how earnest it got in one episode where one of the girls is homeless and like they kind of play it up for laughs sometimes, but at one point it gets real serious for like 15 minutes and it's extremely sad.
Oh no.
And it's really well done, and there are actually news articles being written in Japan about how accurately it portrays homelessness in Japan and how it should be handled. Like it's really fascinating.
Wow. So a little bit of a sidetrack. Have you heard about Dan Reichert and Jeff Gerstmann going to Anime Expo with Crunchyroll?
Yeah, the Crunchyroll thing.
Yeah, I feel like you need to submit some clips to GB_101 or whatever it is with Hinamatsuri and whatever other shenanigans that he's been peddling over here. I think it's 30-second clips, and you can get them to watch it out. Oh man, I want to watch that stream.
Yeah. Do you know when that's happening?
I think it's July 5th at 3 p.m. West Coast time, Pacific time.
You had that down oddly specifically. Great.
That's a lot of information.
I watched Unprofessional Fridays last night while playing The Division, and Victoria and some other guy from Crunchyroll were on, and they were giving the deets. For people who work at Crunchyroll, they don't like anime very much.
Yeah, that's true. They really don't.
Which maybe that says a lot about anime.
You can work a place and not like the thing that you work for.
Yeah.
It's just very funny that if you figure anime, you'd be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, anime. They're like, don't watch that one. All the good animes from the 80s.
And there's a big problem with anime these days where there's almost arguably too much.
There's too much of everything these days.
Yeah, I agree.
Like everything gets super buried. Like it's really hard to find the good stuff because like there's just so much noise.
I watched a little tiny bit of anime also this week. I watched like the first 4 episodes of Fooly Cooly.
Oh my god, I hate that show.
That show's
I like that show.
Makes no kind of sense.
Yeah.
It's real weird.
It's extremely stylish and has great music, but man, do I hate it.
Yeah. I'm curious to finish it. It's only like 6 episodes, so I only got like 2 episodes to go. But I also think it's
2 more seasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they brought it back after like something like 17 years or something like that. Adult Swim decided to fund 2 more seasons, which is crazy.
At the
I
same
think
time.
that's probably at the same time, which I think is like crazy and made me want to watch it, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like it yet, just because I don't know what's happening. But
You'll never
maybe
know what happens.
Yeah.
It's not something that where I'm like, oh yeah, like it's so powerful. It's just I just like it.
Yeah, like Xavier, my husband, felt the same way about it. He's like he said, that he watched it when it was new or when it was on in America, and that he liked it, but he didn't really know why, and it was weird, but he likes it. So I'm like, okay, I'll fuck with weird, I guess. I asked him what it was about, and he just goes, adolescence. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
all right. It didn't win me over on it, but I was like, okay, I'll give it an episode. But
I really like bass guitars. I like bass, so I like that. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Robots are cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Actually, robots that come out of your forehead.
Man, that show's fucking wild. I've been thinking about watching it again so I can like watch that and then the new seasons, but I don't know.
You should watch My Hero Academia.
I should.
You should.
I should.
Really good. It's really good.
Really good.
My problem is that like it's like subtitled, right? There's no dub, so
there is a dub.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but it's probably behind, right?
Only like a week behind, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, well maybe I'll. Just because, like, I have no problem with watching subtitled stuff. It's just going back to there being so much media and things getting buried. I find it hard to devote my time to any like one individual thing. So I'm trying to double up on stuff, which is, maybe not getting the most out of either thing.
Yeah.
But I'm playing like The Division or Destiny, and then I have like Resident Evil or Giant Bomb stuff on the side. So maybe I could put on My Hero Academia on the side and play some of those games.
Erica, have you seen the internet's recent obsession with Small Might?
You sent it to me. I have seen it. It's so cute.
It's showing up all over the place, and it's so adorable.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. Yeah. I've been watching the subtitled version, but I did watch like a YouTube clip of a little bit of the voice acting for the dubbed version, and I just there are, I would say it's pretty close to what they're saying in like the subtitled version, but they did do a couple of fun like localization things that I noticed. Like there's a character Shoto who has like fire on powers on like one side of his body and ice powers on the other side of his body, and Bakugo, who's just an asshole, called him in the subtitled version a half and half bastard, and then like in the dubbed version they called him an icy hot bastard, which I just thought it's like they do some cute things. It's a little bit different, but I don't think it's enough to be an issue.
Localization is weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
So, but speaking of localization, we're going to wrap up this podcast so Alex can translate it into French for us.
Absolument, ce ne serait aucun problème.
We're trying to break into new markets, and that's our first step. We're actually going to be on the radio in the Crew 2.
There's not really radio in the Crew 2. I hate to break it to you. It's like songs that play.
Oh, darn. That's that whole marketing deal that I made with Ubisoft is down the drain.
There's one song that is there's a Black Keys song. That's the only song in that game that I actually recognize. The rest of it is all the most hyper generic, just music that probably someone played on the radio sometime. It's
okay.
Amazing.
Well,
so what you're saying is they could only benefit from adding us to their radio.
Totally, yeah.
So
it'd be more interesting.
Well, that's gonna do it for episode 26. That's half a year, folks. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on the radio, Alex?
If you go to myanimelist.net/profile/momspaghetti. That one's a real one.
That's a real one.
Yeah, it is a real one.
It's also, how do I do that on my radio?
You tune it to like 106.7 and then you just kind of yell at your radio.
Okay. Erica, how about you? Like public access or?
I wish. You could listen to my other podcast. It's like radio, right? It's Tempered Expectations. It's about wrestling. We are going to the last 3 dates of the G1, which is a big New Japan tournament it's starting this month, but we're going to it in August, and so we'll have a lot of G1 coverage because we're very excited. If you care about that, you can also follow me on Twitter at Erica, spelled AIREHCUH.
And Patrick Cotere.
So first of all, Alex's anime list is restricted, which is bullshit.
It's not. My anime list is actually broken right now.
Okay, because I tried to click on what you're watching and it said it's restricted by the user.
Yeah, no, it's that's a known issue.
The Pornhub is, visible, but not the.
So anyway, you can find me on Twitter at JusterPC and my blog at gamingandconfidence.com. It's been on hiatus because I started writing for a living, and when you write for a living, it makes it hard to write at home. But I'm finally going to get over that and write Review the Crew. So you can expect that, and then I'll try to at least write weekly stuff there. And that's all I got.
Okay, and I am Andre. You can find me on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W, talking about how loud the weather was last night. It was crazy. AKA your girl's favorite Goomba.
Yo, Andre, if the weather's too loud, you're too old.
He was shaking my apartment. That's scary. Like, I've got noise canceling headphones on, and I heard it through that. It's loud. The rain was so bad they delayed trains. Like they canceled trains for like 5 hours. Like everyone's like, "Oh, Japan, the trains are never late." They are when it fucking rains, apparently. A train wasn't struck by lightning.
The whole month of June, isn't it?
Like if it just rains a little bit, it's fine. But like yesterday,
yeah, we had a really bad rain day here too on Wednesday. I had to it's like the puddles were deeper than like my rain boots were, which was bad.
Much like the length of this podcast is getting deeper than your boots, and my feet are getting wet from all this extra podcast. Thank you, and so long. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.